Giacomo Puccini's love of fast cars, motorcycles, and boats was legendary. A German composer who also made opera history was equally fond of fancy cars. Other composers, however, had bad experiences with the modern means of transportation of their time. Towards the end of their lives, two French composers damaged their health to such an extent that they presumably succumbed to the long-term consequences of accidents. Sometimes, however, even a bicycle is enough to cause the death of a composer. One of them died that way far too early. What else might he have given us if it hadn't been for that accursed two-wheeler? We'll come back to that. But first, let's turn our attention to the passion of Giacomo Puccini and Alban Berg, who loved fast cars. And we want to tell you about two French colleagues who would have been better off never getting into a taxi. Cho-Cho-San is the name of the title character in Puccini's opera Madame Butterfly. The composer also named his yacht after her, which had a 100-horsepower engine that could reach speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour and even had an onboard piano. When it came to cars, Puccini ultimately preferred the Lancia. After a serious car accident that almost killed his family, he did not dream of renouncing automobiles, which were still extremely dangerous at the time. After several Fiats and a Lancia Tricappa, he purchased a Lancia Lambda with hydraulic shock absorbers and a top speed of 115 kilometers per hour. It was his last car. Like Puccini, Alban Berg also became famous as an opera composer. And although his musical language was more radical and modern, he was just like Puccini in that he wrote highly romantic operas with female title characters who fall victim to a male-dominated world. The creator of Lulu loved fast cars just as much as Puccini did. The financial success of his opera Wozzeck enabled him to purchase a Ford Model A in 1930. And Berg would not have been Berg if he had not added a symbolic touch to this car. In 1926, he had created a monument to his lover Hannah Fuchs in his lyric suite, encoded with the notes A and B for Alban Berg and H and F for Hannah Fuchs. In German, H stands for B and B for B flat. 4 years later, he had the letters AHB for Alban and Helene Berg, his wife, affixed to the doors of the Ford. The composers César Franck and Maurice Ravel had a less pleasant relationship with modes of transportation. In 1890, César Franck suffered more serious injuries than he himself believed when the horse-drawn carriage he was traveling in collided with a horse-drawn bus. A few months after the accident, he died at the age of 67 from untreated pleurisy and pericarditis. A similar and no less tragic accident occurred a good 40 years later when a taxi carrying Maurice Ravel was rear-ended. He, too, underestimated the injuries he sustained in the accident. He probably suffered whiplash, a mild to severe concussion, cuts to his face, and lost a few teeth. In addition to existing neurological impairments, he developed attention, concentration, and memory problems as a result of the accident. This meant he was no longer able to continue composing. And what about the bicycle? On June 10, 1899, 44-year-old Ernest Chausson was riding his bicycle toward the train station in Limoux, a small town northwest of Paris. He wanted to pick up his wife and 5 children, who had taken a trip to Paris. In his day, bicycles did not yet have brakes. Riders therefore had to think carefully about how and when to bring their vehicles to a stop. The road to the train station was downhill, and Chausson apparently gained considerable speed as he approached a curve. Unable to slow down in time, he crashed into a stone wall at full speed as he changed direction. He died at the scene of the accident. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel. At academia-larty.org, you will also find a knowledge database and online courses from our academy. And check out the other videos here on YouTube. Thank you for your interest.